I never thought a minimum wage job would leave a mark on me the way this one did. Back then, I was 19, living in the quiet end of Ridgeview, a small, unremarkable town off the interstate. One of those places where the loudest thing you heard at night was a train horn or some old pickup with a bad muffler. I was living with my mom and my older cousin Jalen while attending Ridgeview Community College. Money was tight, so I picked up an evening job at the McDonald's near the highway exit. I wasn't new to work. I'd had part-time gigs in high school, but this was my first job working late hours, dealing with strangers constantly, watching the same fluorescent lights buzz overhead every night. I didn't mind the routine. It felt stable in a way my life didn't at the time. The manager, Lydia, hired me because I had a face customers would trust, whatever that meant. She ran the place like it was a military base, but she was fair. My co-workers were a mixed bunch. A quiet grill guy named Dre, a sarcastic shift lead named Rosa, and a high school kid named Calvin who was always humming something under his breath. They were chill. The job was chill. Even the customers were mostly predictable. Truckers, late-night teens, a couple of lonely old folks, the usual. Nothing about that place ever felt dangerous. Until it did. My shifts usually ended at 11 p.m. The store technically stayed open until midnight on weekdays, 24 hours on weekends, but I'd clock out at 11, say goodbye to whoever was still around, and drive the 10 minutes back home. Easy, repetitive, boring, until I started noticing a car. The first time I saw it, I didn't think much of it. It was a silver early 2000s Buick, older body style, the kind of car a retired person or some laid-back uncle might drive. It sat with the engine running on the far edge of the lot near the tree line, headlights on, windows tinted. I saw it. I didn't care. But then I started seeing it every single night I clocked out. Same time, same place, same running engine, same headlights cutting through the lot. I didn't see the driver. Not really. Sometimes I'd catch the shape of a hand on the steering wheel or movement behind the windshield, but nothing clear. Whoever it was never got out, never drove through the drive-thru, never came inside the building, just watched. I'd walk to my car, unlock it quick, toss my bag in, start the ignition, and try not to stare. It looked creepy, sure, but I chalked it up to someone waiting for a friend or maybe another worker's ride. Ridgeview was weird like that. People sat in cars doing absolutely nothing all the time. Still, something about the way that Buick sat there felt wrong. Too still. Too intentional. One night I muttered to myself, man, whoever you are, you need a hobby. But it wasn't until a week later I realized the car wasn't just sitting there. It was waiting for me. It was a Tuesday night, dead quiet, the kind of night where you hear the buzzing from inside the soda fountain, and it somehow feels louder than it should. I clocked out early, 10:48 p.m. I remember the time because Lydia joked, "Don't spend that extra 12 minutes all in one place." I stepped outside, the air cold enough to sting my cheeks. And there it was, the Buick, running. Headlights already pointed at the employee exit like it knew when I'd walk out. My stomach tightened a little. I unlocked my car, threw my bag in the passenger seat, and pulled out of the lot. In the corner of my eye, I saw the Buick shift out of park. At first, I told myself, coincidence, chill. People leave parking lots at the same time all the time. But when I got on the main road, it pulled onto the road right behind me, and stayed behind me. I took another street. It followed. I changed lanes. It changed lanes. I slowed down. It slowed down. My throat got dry. My hands got sweaty on the steering wheel. Only when I turned onto Maple Bend Road, 3 streets before my house, did the Buick finally turn off without signaling, disappearing into the dark. I sat there breathing heavy, heart pounding. What the hell was that? When I got home, Jalen was sitting on the couch playing 2K. "You good?" he asked, glancing over. "Yeah," I lied, "just tired." Because saying, "A random car just tailed me home" sounded dramatic, paranoid. Maybe it really was just someone heading home in my direction. But then it happened again, and again, and again. 5 nights straight, no matter when I left. 10:45, 11:05, 11:20. The Buick always rolled out right after me and followed almost the whole way home, turning off at Maple Bend every time. It stopped being coincidence. It stopped being anything close to normal. Something or someone was watching me. The night everything escalated, I felt off before I even clocked out. You ever get that feeling like something bad's gonna happen, but you don't know what? That was me the whole last hour of my shift. When 11 p.m. hit, I was ready to go. I wiped my hands on my apron, tossed it in the bin, and headed outside, and stopped dead. The Buick wasn't parked across the lot anymore. It was parked right next to my car. Driver's seat lined directly up with mine, engine running, headlights off this time. The kind of placement that said, "I want you to see me." My heart dropped into my stomach. I whispered, "Nah, man, this ain't normal anymore." I kept my eyes down, walked to my car fast but not too fast, and got inside. I didn't dare look at the Buick. I locked my doors immediately and sat still for a moment, hoping maybe the car wouldn't move. But as soon as I shifted into reverse, the Buick's headlights flicked on. It backed out the same second I did. I don't remember the drive home well, just pieces, the tightness in my chest, the way my breath kept hitching, the way the Buick matched my every turn like it was attached to me by a rope. When I got to my street, something in me snapped. I didn't pull into the driveway, didn't slow down, didn't think. I slammed the brakes in front of the house, jumped out of the car, and sprinted up the walkway so fast I nearly tripped. I burst through the front door, panting. My mom rushed out from the hallway. "Baby, what happened?" "Someone followed me," I said, voice cracking. "They're outside." Jalen stood up quick, grabbing the metal bat he kept by the couch. "Who?" I pointed toward the street. The Buick was pulling over right in front of our house. My knees went weak. Jalen muttered, "Hey, hell no." He marched toward the door. My mom hissed, "Jalen, wait." He didn't. He swung the front door open and walked halfway down the driveway, holding the bat low but ready. "Hey!" he shouted. "You got a problem with my cousin?" The Buick jerked just slightly, then sped off so fast the tires squealed. Jalen stood there, breathing hard, watching the taillights disappear. When he came back inside, he said, "You ain't going to work alone tomorrow, period." But as it turned out, I didn't have to worry about tomorrow, because the real nightmare didn't happen outside the house. It walked straight into McDonald's. 3 nights later, I returned to work for the first time after the incident. Lydia knew what happened. My mom had called her, and she gave me a few days off without question. Everyone at work was curious, though. Rosa leaned over the counter while I was refilling napkins. "So what's the deal? You got some random creeper now?" "I don't know," I muttered. "Car followed me home. Same car that kept sitting out here every night." "Damn," Dre said from the grill. "That's some Lifetime movie type shit." I tried to laugh, tried to act normal. But the whole shift I felt like someone was watching me through the windows. Around 10 p.m., we hit a dead hour. No customers, no door chimes, no fryers beeping. Just the hum of machines and the faint sound of some R&B song playing from the ceiling speakers. I was wiping down the front counter when the entrance doors swung open. A man walked in, and immediately my stomach sank. He was maybe mid-40s, heavy-set, shorter than me, balding with patchy brown hair along the sides, scruffy beard, eyes that somehow looked both dull and intense at the same time. He walked in slow, too slow like he wanted to. Make sure I saw every step. I straightened up. "Hey, welcome in. What can I—" He didn't answer. He stepped right up to the counter and stared at me. His eyes didn't blink, didn't move, just locked on me like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. "Sir?" I asked. His lips twitched before he spoke. His voice was calm. Too calm. "Tell your cousin," he said. "He's a coward." The words hit me like a physical shove. I froze. "What?" He didn't repeat himself. He just stared, then turned around and walked out as quietly as he came in. I stood there, breath stuck in my throat, every muscle in my body buzzing with fear. Rosa came from the back. Who was that? I swallowed. The, the car. It's him. We ran to the front doors just in time to see the silver Buick pulling away. That was the moment something broke inside me. Fear turned to realization. This man wasn't random. He wasn't confused. He wasn't lost. He was fixated. And he knew where I worked. He knew where I lived. He knew who my cousin was. He knew too much. Lydia didn't even ask. She sent me home early. For 2 weeks, I avoided leaving the house at night. Jalen worked late shifts sometimes and always parked in our driveway with all the lights on, sitting in the driver's seat until I walked inside. But the Buick never returned. Not to McDonald's. Not to my street. Not anywhere. A month passed. Then 2. Life slowly knitted itself back together, but the feeling didn't leave me. That every dark car behind me might be him. That every customer walking in late night might be him. That every set of headlights in the distance might belong to that old Buick. Even now, years later, I still remember his voice. Tell your cousin he's a coward. Not angry, not rushed, just deliberate, like he believed it, like he wanted me to carry that message home forever. I still don't know who he was, why he targeted me, why he watched me night after night, why he stopped. I don't know if someone scared him off, or if he simply moved on to someone else. Sometimes when I drive past some old gas station or dark parking lot, my eyes catch a silver sedan for a split second, and my body tenses like I'm 19 again, stepping out of McDonald's with grease on my shirt and fear in my chest. Even though I know, I hope, it's never him. But in the quiet moments when I'm alone at night, sometimes it feels like he's still out there, watching someone else. Or maybe, still watching me. I always had this habit of remembering the smallest details from the road trips my husband and I used to take, like the way the highway looked just before dawn, or the smell of old carpet in motels that charged extra for late check-ins. But this particular trip, I remember everything, every sound, every breath, every face, backstory, to engage the audience deeply. Before this trip, my life was predictable. Wake up at 6, work at the clinic, come home, eat dinner, sleep, repeat. My husband, Jared, was a freelance videographer who always wanted to drag me out into the world. He'd say, "Liv, life's too damn short to live inside one zip code." So once every year we picked a week, turned off alarms, tossed clothes into a trunk, and hit the highway. This road trip was supposed to be our reset button. New states, new food, new memories. But some memories don't fade. Some memories follow you. Some memories stand outside your motel door at 2 in the morning. We were somewhere between Colorado and Nebraska, driving through flat land that looked like it had been ironed by God himself. We checked out of this old roadside lodge around 7 a.m., the kind that smelled like dust, lemon cleaner, and someone else's long-forgotten life. They didn't serve breakfast, so Jared said, "McDonald's? You want coffee?" "Yeah, and maybe a McGriddle," I said, rubbing my eyes. "And hash browns. Always hash browns." The town was tiny. A few gas stations, a hardware store with faded letters, and that one McDonald's with a giant golden arch that looked way too big for its parking lot. Inside, it was packed. People in hoodies, travelers with backpacks, 2 old ladies arguing about coupons, normal McDonald's chaos. Jared stayed in the car editing footage for his travel vlog. I walked inside, rubbing my hands together from the cold. The line was long. People looked tired, restless, hungry. Real morning energy. Nothing strange. Not yet. I was scrolling through my phone when I felt it, the weight of someone staring at me. Not a glance, not curiosity, a stare, a laser. I looked up. Across the restaurant near the ketchup dispensers, a man stood perfectly still, like a mannequin, tall, maybe mid-40s, dark gray hoodie, a face that looked stretched, like every expression was pulled too tight. And worse, he was smiling at me. Not a happy smile, not a friendly one. A slow, curling grin like he was trying out different expressions on me. His eyebrows would drop suddenly into a furious glare, then neutral, then grin again. Almost like he was flipping through faces. I blinked and looked away. When I glanced back, he was still staring, face frozen in another weird half-smile. "What the hell?" I muttered under my breath. Finally, my order number lit up. Number 247. I exhaled in relief, grabbed the bag, and walked toward the exit. I didn't look back. Didn't want to. But right as the door closed behind me, I got this heavy, sinking feeling in my chest. Like that wasn't the last time I'd see him. I told Jared about the guy when I got in the car. He laughed. "You're telling me some dude was practicing faces at you?" "I'm serious, Jared. Babe, weirdos love McDonald's. It's like a rule." I rolled my eyes but smiled. He always joked to keep me calm. We drove all day. National parks, small towns, a scenic overlook where Jared almost dropped his camera into a ravine. Hours passed. Hundreds of miles. We stopped for gas, for snacks, for photos. Normal. No sign of the man. By the time the sun dipped behind the plains, we were exhausted. We pulled into a cheap roadside motel called Cedar Pine Inn. Neon sign half dead. Lobby smelled like microwaved burritos. The clerk handed us the key without making eye contact. Room 108. We parked right outside. I always check motel windows first. Habit from years of traveling. You never know who's in the parking lot, or what. I pulled the curtain aside. My heart slammed into my throat. He was there, the McDonald's man, walking across the parking lot. Same hoodie, same slow steps. At first, he didn't see me. I froze, breath stuck in my chest. Then he turned his head, locked eyes with me, and smiled. That same stretched, unnatural grin. My hand shook as I dropped the curtain. "Jared, he's here." "What?" "The guy from McDonald's. Liv, that was like 2 states ago. I know what I saw." We looked again. He was gone. Just empty pavement and a flickering streetlight. We tried to brush it off, turned on the TV, ate the leftover fries from earlier, pretended nothing was wrong. Jared joked again. "Maybe he's on a road trip too." "Yeah, following us across the country for fun." Late into the night, we finally crashed. I woke up to a sound. Not loud, not frantic, but steady, intentional. A knock. Jared stirred beside me. "What time is it?" "Almost 2 a.m. Another knock, slightly harder. Jared got up, annoyed, and walked to the door. I whispered, "Don't open it, just look first." He pressed his eye to the peephole. His whole body stiffened. "It's him." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What is he doing?" "Just standing there," Jared whispered. "He's not saying anything." The knocking stopped. Jared kept watching. 30 silent seconds passed, then he's walking away. We held our breath, listening. Footsteps faded. Then silence. We didn't sleep after that. We left before sunrise, didn't pack, just shoved everything into the car and drove, miles and miles. Neither of us talked for hours. Eventually, Jared said, "Let's not tell anyone about this. They'll think we're nuts." "Yeah," I whispered, but he knew where we were staying. "Liv, I don't know how he got there, but he's gone now." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to forget that smile, that stare, that slow walk across a motel parking lot 2 states from where I first saw him. We never saw him again for the rest of the trip, but sometimes, if I'm driving late, or standing in a store, or walking alone in a parking lot, I get that same sinking feeling in my chest, like someone's staring at me, like someone followed me once and maybe they're still out there, watching, waiting, smiling. I've always been the kind of guy who gets his second wind around midnight. My friends say my brain doesn't come alive until the rest of the world goes quiet. Maybe it's because I grew up in a chaotic house. Always noise, always someone yelling, always something slamming. So the silence of late-night hours feels like home. But anyway, that's the part of me that got me into this mess. If I wasn't such a night owl, none of this would have happened. If I'd just gone to sleep early like a normal person, I wouldn't have crossed paths with them. But that night, yeah, no sleep, no chance. Back then, I lived in a mid-rise apartment complex in Cedar Bridge, Oregon. Nothing fancy, very average. It sat directly across from a 24-hour McDonald's. Literally the building's front entrance, the road, one parking lot, and boom, you're at the McDonald's front door. I moved there because the rent was cheap and I could walk to almost everything: bank, gas station, pharmacy, and of course the Golden Arches. I wasn't eating McDonald's every day or anything, but on nights when I worked late and felt too fried to cook, I'd head over for a burger, fries, maybe a McFlurry if the machine wasn't broken, which it was about 80% of the time. Point is, midnight McDonald's runs were normal for me, comfortable, familiar, until one night when all of that changed. And even now, months later, I still can't go near that building without feeling like someone's watching me. I still can't walk outside at night without checking over my shoulder. I still double lock my door, even when I'm home in the middle of the day. Because once you've seen someone's face pressed against your door, angry, desperate, threatening, yeah, you don't forget that. It was a Tuesday. Boring, regular Tuesday. I had clocked out of work around 10:30 p.m. I do IT support for a small company, mostly remote, but that week we were doing system upgrades, so I had to actually be on site. By the time I walked home, showered, and tried to unwind, it was already past midnight. I wasn't hungry, just wanted something warm, something salty, something fast. So I grabbed my hoodie, slid on some beat-up Vans, and stepped out. The night was completely still, one of those quiet nights where even your own footsteps feel too loud. The street between my building and McDonald's usually had steady traffic during the day, but past midnight, dead. No headlights, no engines, nothing. The McDonald's glowed like a big yellow lantern. Comforting, familiar, ordinary. I didn't know it would be the last time McDonald's ever felt ordinary to me. Inside, the place was almost empty except for one bored-looking cashier scrolling through her phone behind the counter. The fryer hissed softly somewhere in the back. A single guy was mopping near the soda machine. I ordered a McChicken, a cheeseburger, and fries. Cheap and easy. Order for, Jace? The cashier called. She always struggled with my name. Jace? Did I say that right? Yeah, that's me, I said with a small smile. She smiled back, friendly in that tired night shift kind of way. Have a good one. You too. Nothing weird, nothing creepy, nothing notable. But life has this way of taking the most normal moments and twisting them into something unforgettable. I walked back across the street, food bag warm in my hand, the smell of fries drifting up through the top. I didn't waste time. I was outside for less than 10 minutes total. When I reached the main door of my apartment building, I saw her. A woman, standing completely still, right in front of the door. She wasn't someone I recognized, not a neighbor I'd ever seen, not a regular visitor. She was maybe late 20s, had a messy bun like she threw it up in a hurry, wearing a faded green jacket and ripped jeans. Her sneakers were dirty like she'd been walking around all night. Normally I'm cautious around strangers at this hour, but she didn't look threatening. Just tired. Maybe anxious. She held her phone in one hand, staring down at the ground like she'd been waiting there a while. When she heard my footsteps, she looked up fast. Hey, she said, could you let me in? I, forgot my fob. Her voice sounded normal, not jumpy, not aggressive, just someone locked out of their own building. People do get locked out sometimes. I didn't overthink it. Yeah, sure, I said, pulling the door open. She slipped inside right after me. That should have been the end of it. But the moment the door shut behind us, I felt this weird chill crawl up my spine, like something wasn't quite right. I tried to ignore it. Happens sometimes when a stranger ends up walking behind you in a quiet hallway. I started walking toward my own hallway. 2 left turns and straight down. She followed right behind me, not beside me, not giving me space, right behind me. Her footsteps matched mine. Every turn I took, she took too. I glanced back once, trying to play it cool, and she didn't look away, just kept staring at me with this blank, strange expression. Not angry, not sad, not lost, just blank. Like she was rehearsing something in her head. My apartment, 1B, was at the very end of the hallway, and she followed, all the way. When I stopped at my door, she stopped too, standing so close behind me I could feel her presence. My hand froze on my keys, then she tilted her head, almost impatient. "So, are you gonna let me in?" I blinked. "What? Into what?" She gestured at my door. "Your place." I froze. "Hold up. I only let you into the building, not my apartment." She frowned like that made zero sense. "You said you'd let me in." "Into the building," I repeated, firmer. "Not in here." She inhaled sharply. "Well, I need a place to stay, just for tonight." "No, I can't do that." My heart was starting to race. "I don't even know you." Her face twisted, confusion morphing into irritation. "Are you serious right now?" she snapped. "You brought me all the way back here and now you're gonna shut me out?" "I didn't bring you anywhere. You followed me." "Wow," she scoffed. "Real nice." I didn't want this to escalate. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want confrontation. I just wanted her gone. So I stepped inside quickly and shut the door behind me. She slapped her palm against the door immediately. "Hey, don't be like that. Open up." My pulse thudded in my ears. I locked the deadbolt. "Go away," I yelled through the door. "You can't stay here." She kept knocking, harder, then stomped off down the hallway. I exhaled and backed up. But 5 minutes later, the knocking came again. This time louder, heavier. I peeked through the peephole and my stomach dropped. She was back, and she brought someone with her. A huge guy, broad shoulders, dark hoodie, beard. He looked pissed. He stepped up and punched the door with the side of his fist. "Open the damn door," he bellowed. "You think you can ignore us?" My heart hammered so hard it hurt. "No," I shouted. "Leave me alone. I'm calling the cops." They both started pounding, screaming at me, cursing me out. "Open the door, man. Let us in. You think you're better than us? You're gonna regret this." Their voices echoed down the hallway, bouncing off the walls. Doors started opening. Neighbors peeked out. "What the hell is going on out there?" someone down the hall yelled. "Y'all need to keep it down," another voice snapped. But the man and woman didn't stop, not at first. They kept banging, screaming, threatening, until a few more neighbors leaned out, irritated, confused, scared. Finally, they backed away. The woman glared right at my peephole like she knew I was watching. The man pointed at my door. "This ain't over." And then they left. I didn't sleep that night, or the night after, or the night after that. I never saw them again. But I never walked alone to McDonald's late at night again either. And every time I hear knocking, any knocking, I still flinch a little. Because now I know how fast something normal can turn into something you remember forever.